our back pieces, and this is where we're going to make our pocket. So we take our 25-inch piece, we fold it in half. We're going to go make a seam, half-inch seam along here. Then we're going to turn it inside out. We're going to iron it just like we did the last one. I'm going to go ahead and do all of that because it's really duplicating everything we have done. And then we're going to address this really, really long zipper. We're going to put tabs on it. We're using the same fabric as the front. You can use the same color lining if you want to, or you don't even need the tabs at all. I just thought it would be fun to bring a little bit of this on the inside. So I will come back here when I'm ready to address the zipper, and most of my pocket will already be finished. Okay, so I did do my pocket exactly like the other one. I did bring this down 3/4 of an inch. I just think it really dresses it up a little bit. I'm going to cut my zipper now to be 9 inches, just like the other one. Okay, so now I'm going to bring this up like this, and we're going to do the same thing with the tabs. Bring this down a little bit, just to kind of help me hold it together. I'm going to pin it. You set this down on here just like that. See, you're just barely going to cover these little guys right here. And you're going to sew it 1/4 of an inch above them so that when you open this up, you have a really nice finished edge. Okay? As you can see, I'm not being really picky where I put this because this is my pretend rest of the zipper, if you will, okay? And I don't have to be this precise. So I'm going to take this over to the machine and sew this 1/4 of an inch in, okay? So that when I open it, it goes like that. Then I'm going to do the same thing on this side. I'm going to set this here, sew it 1/4 of an inch in, up here, so that when I open it, I have this nice zipper to work with. Okay, so I did sew that 1/4 of an inch away from the zipper pull, and same on this side. Okay, so basically that part is finished. Now I want you to do exactly what we did for the front of the bag. I want you to do that here. I'm not going to go through the whole thing again with you, except run it through really, really quickly right now. You're going to attach this. Make sure these are even. When you're done with that, you're going to bring this up. Okay. You're going to fold this over, give that a good press, and attach it this way. Okay, so here is my finished pocket. Came out really, really nice. I really like the little tabs. I like that they're the same as the focal fabric on the outside. I'm going to go ahead and attach this to my one of the sides of my liner, remembering that you're going to come up 2 1/4 inches because you want to keep room for your gusset. Okay, so my pocket came out very, very nice. I did attach it to the back part of the liner. I'm going to go ahead and put these two pieces together. When I sew them this time, I'm going to leave about a 4-inch space right about here because I want to be able to turn the bag right side out. Go ahead after you sew this, stop here, little stitch here, little stitch there, back and forth, come around. Go ahead and use your new template if you made one and do your 1-inch gussets. Remember, seam to seam, not edge of the bag to the edge of the bag. but seam to seam. Okay, cut it out, sew up your gussets, and when we get through, we'll see how we did. Okay, went ahead and did my gussets and my zipper slip pocket. Very, very happy with how that came out. My little tabs you can barely see, but they are there. A little bit of color from the front of the bag to come onto the inside. So now we're going to work on this strap. Okay, it just dawned on me that at the beginning of the video I did not tell you about the little tabs that we need to make to hold the D-rings onto the bag like this. You probably already thought of that, but I'm going to show you now how I make those. My D-rings are actually 1.5 inches wide on the inside. I want to fill that space. They are a little bit bigger than my little part here that's only 1 inch. So for this part here, I need a 4-inch piece wide fabric, which my strap is. So when I fold this in half a few times, it's going to be 1 inch wide, and that's going to fit perfectly. But these are a little bit bigger. So being 1.5 inches, I'm going to need to cut a piece of fabric that is 6 inches wide, so that when I fold them into 4s and press them like this, they are going to fit this size D-ring perfectly. Okay, so I just wanted to clear that up right now, and again I apologize that I didn't talk about that at the beginning, but we've got that finished now, and so go ahead and make 2 of them. Remember, if you have 1.5 inch D-ring, you're going to cut a 6-inch piece. If you have a 1-inch D-ring, assuming you're going to be using D-rings, 1 inch on the inside, then you only need a 4-inch piece across. If you're using a round ring, use whatever width you would like. Just make sure that it's not bulging on the sides and it looks really good for your bag. Okay? Okay, so I did finish my little tabs. Set those aside, and we're going to work on our strap. The first thing I want you to do is take this to your ironing board, and I want you to fold this part over 1/2 inch. Do that on both ends. Then I want you to take it and do the exact same thing we did with the straps. You're going to fold it over, press it. Then you're going to bring it towards the middle, almost exact to the middle, but leave just a tiny bit of space there. Fold it to the middle, fold this to the middle, and then eventually you will turn it to be like that. Remember, this is folded over, and then take it to your sewing machine and come in. Same thing that you did with your straps. You come in about, 1/16 of an inch or so on both sides. And when we're finished with that, we're going to finish up our strap. Then we're going to put our bag together. This is fun. Okay, so we are finished with our strap, and we're going to put the hardware on. We're going to pick up the tri-glide first. And you're going to come through either side, doesn't really matter. Then you're going to go over the center piece and out the other side. And it should look like that. Now you're going to take this over to your sewing machine, and you don't have to be very, very close to it. Give yourself some sewing room. And sew this on right here, okay, so that it looks like that when you're done and it can't go on or off. Okay, So as you can see, I did sew this part on, and we're going to call this the back side, and we're going to call this the front side. That's the side that's nice and flat. And what I'm going to do is, you really can't see it, but I'm just going to lay it down flat side up. And all I'm going to do is stretch out my strap so that it's very, very straight, okay? Then you're going to pick up your swivel, and you're going to hold it like this. You're going to feed this through, and you're going to pull the strap just until you get to about the halfway point, okay? Then you're just going to pick it up, both pieces up, just like that, and let it come to the halfway point. So now here's your strap end again. You're going to feed it this time through this side. You're going to come up, and then you're going to go through this side. And you can pull on it and make it any length you want. So I'm going to do that one more time so that you see exactly what I'm doing. It is not difficult at all. Let's start over here. So you've got the pretty side and you've got the seam side. We're going to put the pretty side up and we're going to lay it down right here out of camera view. I just want to make sure that this is straight. I'm going to hold my swivel hook like this so I can feed this through. And I'm going to come to the halfway point the best I can. Set this down. I'm going to come up through this back side here. The pretty side is still up. Come through the back side here and back down through the tri-glide the other side. It's getting nice and tight now because it fits really, really well. And go ahead and pull that down. I would say, I don't know, 12, 13 inches maybe. And then see what happened? You created this strap that is now adjustable, so that after we put these on, your D-rings on, the side that has not been attached to anything is just going to go through and get sewn on. This side simply will just snap on. Now, if I had another one of these exact, this side of the strap would have just gone through another one of those, and it would have just snapped on to here. But I don't have another one. So I'm trying to show you again, like we did the zippers, you can improvise and still not miss out on any luxury in your bag. Okay, so if you are not going to use your tri-glide, you just wanted to measure it to the length of the bag, maybe you're making it for yourself, you would just take both of your ends and you would put it over a D-ring, just like that, or you would just put it inside of your bag before we sewed it on. Okay, so hopefully both of those ways have shown you how to do that, and we're going to continue with putting our bag together. Okay, so now we're going to put the bag together. The part with the zipper in it, we're going to put that over to this side. Then we're going to take the inside of the bag, the liner, and the zipper's going to go on the other side. Just had a question about that recently. A gal asked me, when you put your bags together, you know, which side does your pocket go? And I told her, for me, it's going to come down to balance. So if I have both zippers on both sides, the bag might just fall over because it's, you know, a little bit heavier. So, and I won't get into why
You know, on some bags I would not do that right now. We'll get into that at another segment. But basically what I want to do right now is just make sure that the liner and the shell are fitting. Sometimes you will notice that one or the other is just bigger and we don't know why, and you know, really you just want to fix that. So these two fit really, really good, but earlier when I was doing this, the liner was a lot smaller. I've never had that happen before. And so I had to go in and I actually made this bag just a little bit smaller. I had to go back and make the seams a little bit smaller so it all worked. So you know what? All of this is a work in progress and it just happens. So, okay, so we're at this point. I'm really happy with the fit. I can see that it's going to fit nicely. And what I'm going to do now to make these work is I've decided how much of these I want showing when I'm completely done. So I don't like them to be really long. They can twist and I just don't need them to be really long. So what I have done and what I'm going to do is I've just decided that I only want this much of them showing. So for me, let's see, let me go get my chalk. Okay, now that I've decided where I want the placement of my tabs, I'm going to set it down on my little measuring board here, and I'm going to go 1 inch up, and I'm going to draw a little chalk line right about there, okay? I'll do that with the other one as well, so that when I put this into my bag, I know exactly where I want to stop. I just have to make sure that it's even where I want it to be. Okay, I'm going to give that a pin. Okay, and then I'm going to do that on the other side as well. Then go around, finish pinning the rest of your bag. For this bag, it's kind of small. I just need to go like this now and pin it here in the middle, and it should be good to go. So to take it over to the sewing machine at this point, I like to increase my stitch length to tacking, which is, I use a digital machine, so it is number 5 on my stitch length. It's a long one, so that if things don't line up, I can go back in and I have to take it apart with my seam ripper. It's not that big of a deal. Okay, so go slow over your edges. These get really thick. You've got lots of layers right there. So, and then we'll see how we did. Okay, so hopefully that part went really well for you. What we're going to do is pull out the lining, and the little 4-inch hole we left in here, we're going to reach through and very carefully grab one of the corners and start to pull it through. We don't have our straps to try to pull through right now because we haven't attached those yet. Oh dear. Okay. And I thought 4 inches was a lot of room to be able to turn this bag, but it's, as you can see, giving me trouble. That's okay. You just don't want to hear any ripping. You want to go nice and slow so you don't hear that awful sound of ripping. Okay. Whew, made that one. so now I'm going to tuck the lining in as well. Woohoo! Boy, this came out really good. Okay. So now I want to take it over and give it a good press all along the seams, because what I'm going to do after that is I'm going to come down about 1/4 of an inch, and I want to sew all around the outside. But you want to do that after you press your seams down. You know, while I'm over there too, I'm going to take this strap with me. After I sew all the way around the edge, then I'm going to take my strap and put it on like this and make sure everything looks right. Then I'm going to take this end and I'm going to come from the outside, because I want the sewing part to be on the inside of the lip. And then I will have done my strap as well. So I'll meet you back here after I do both of those things. I'm going to give this a press and sew around the outside edge and put on my little strap, attach it to this side, and we'll be right back. Okay, so we're at that point where all we need to do is make our flap and put that on, and we're finished with our project. So go ahead and take your smaller piece, we'll call that a tab, that your D-ring is going to go on, and we're going to make it like we do all other tabs. We're going to press it like this, come to the middle with both sides, and then fold over. You know, for this project, what I'm going to do, though, is I'm going to revise it just a little bit, because I would like my fabric to fill this space. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold it over like this, and then I'm going to only come in maybe 1/2 inch on both sides. And what that's going to do is it's going to give me a little wider piece of fabric to go through my D-ring. And it's just going to work a little bit better for me, but it's personal preference again. Okay, so it is going to fill the space a little bit better. So I'm going to go sew that on, and I'm going to show you how we're going to create the flap, and we'll put that together next. Okay, so I did finish my tab with my D-ring on it, and we're going to work on the flap part itself. So I put my right sides together. I'm going to put in a pin or two up here, because the flap is rounded at the bottom. I'm going to show you my very scientific way that I do this. So I take my bowl, whatever shape you want. You know, you can do something, you know, really fabulous, but, you know, this is the design that I have chose for this particular bag. So I'm going to lay my bowl upside down about 3/4 of an inch away from the seam. Make sure that you can see where I'm at. And then I'm going to take an ordinary pen, and I'm going to just draw my little half circle, actually. Okay. I'm going to give it just a couple of pins right here, because I still need to put in my D-ring before I sew this up. Okay. Now I take my D-ring, and it's going to go in between these two pieces of fabric that are right sides together. And I'm going to square it up on here so I can find the middle. I want my D-ring to hang, you know, straight. And I also want it to be, I don't want it really, really long coming out. I want it to be just about maybe a 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch showing. So let's say I do a 1/2 inch seam allowance. I'm going to pull this down to where I just have about an inch from the inside to the bottom here. So again, that's going to be personal preference where you want it. It is in the middle. And I'm going to use a clip at this point here because it is pretty thick. Now, when I go around corners, I make my stitch length really, really short. It works so much better than trying to use a long one. It gives a more truer circular. So remember to lower your stitch length before you do this. And remember, your seam allowance is like right in here in this range. So once you get around this, go very, very slow. Then as you turn, then you can go up, okay? But don't go all the way over here and then try to come back and go around. That I've done before, and it really will show. So try to go very, very slow, go around this, and when you get to your sides, just give it a pivot, like right about where you think you're going to start going up, and then just turn it. Okay, but you'll be fine. Let's do this and we'll compare notes when I come back. You know, before I sew this, I wanted to show you something very important that we need to do at this point, is to take the top here and fold it over a 1/2 inch and press it before we do this. This is going on the outside of the bag, and it'll just make things nice and neat when we turn it out. It'll be ready to sew, okay? Okay, so this is what it should look like when you are finished sewing. And what I'm going to do is cut off some of the tab. I don't need it that much. I'm glad I had it in case I needed it, but I don't. And then I'm also going to clean up a little bit around my edges. Leave some of that tab in there. Like this. It'll leave about 1/4 of an inch. Okay. Turn this inside out. My trusty little chopstick, and very carefully go around. Okay, that looks nice. Okay, now what I want to do is take it over to the machine or to the ironing board again, and you already know I'm going to say, give it a good press. You know that was coming, didn't you? And then we're going to, after I press it, then I want to take it over to the machine and I want to do a really nice, neat top stitch on that, okay? So take your time on that, and then I'll show you how we're going to attach it to the bag. We are almost done. Okay, so I did finish my flap. It came out really, really nice. I did sew all the way around. I closed up that end that was there, so that came out good too. And how we're going to attach it to the bag is, this is the back of the bag. Excuse me, we're going to lay it down best we can. And we're going to find the center. So I'm going to line it up against this edge and measure it here. My bag measures 9 inches. So at the 4.5 inch mark, I'm going to make a little mark right there at the 4.5 inch. So that's 4.5. I'm just going to make a little mark right there. And then I'm going to take my flap, I'm going to fold that in half. I'm going to set the half mark, the very center on that mark, and just open it up. And it should be even with your bag. That is how we are going to sew this on here. And we're going to do a thing that they call stitch in the ditch, and it's going to be where we stitch exactly where we did stitch before. It should level up with how we stitched around our bag. So go ahead and give that a good pin and sew that on. Yeah, because I almost forgot, excuse me, to tell you about the very last step. Okay, so that after we attached it here, excuse me, what we're going to do is we're going to take it over to the ironing board and we're going to bring it up a 1/2 inch. And I'm going to give that a little ironing right there. Then I'm going to sew it along here and make sure that I, go do the ends back stitch really, really well. And that just gives it it lays a lot. But what I forgot to tell you is to do another seam really close to the edge down here. And boy, it came out really, really nice. I actually like the design. The reason this happened in the first place, because the flap was never supposed to be put on externally, is the gal that I was making this for didn't want any kind of closure. She didn't want a magnetic, she didn't want a zipper, she didn't want anything. This is a bag she's going to use to walk with in the mornings. So she said, I really don't want anything. And then when I showed her the bag, she says, oh, well, I wouldn't have minded a little flap or something. So I thought, well, I'm going to make this into an opportunity to show you guys how that happened. So I thought I would just, tell you exactly what happened and why, but it actually is cute. It came out really, really well. If you have any questions, you can always write me. And so here you go. Enjoy your bag and all the things that you put into it. And pat yourself on the back.